And we are live. All right. Yeah. Welcome to the Dynasty Hot Sauce Podcast. I'm Larry Monkey, and you can find me on the internet at FF Larry Monkey, at Dynasty Hot Sauce, at, or should I say, on the couch, as usual, an unusual dark shirt. Usually this guy brightens up the room with a nice, salmon color, salmon, or he hunter orange, but today he's just navy blue down in the Mississippi. The Mississippi. Where's that part of Mississippi is that from? I don't know.
What?
He's gonna tell us though.
I'm from the East. I don't know.
baby, Justin Rogers, let's go.
Dude, you're so far from here. You have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
I don't know, man.
Golly, up in Jersey, there's no telling what happens in the South. All right,
Yeah.
I don't know. Our guest is wondering the same thing I am. What the hell were you talking about there?
I don't know. I just ramble on, man. See, you do all this
Yeah,
rambling
I
in the
know.
intro, then when you do your edit for the podcast, and then it comes out like perfectly. Lots
Sure,
of
yeah.
action, and you cut out a lot of the drips and drabs, and boom, you got it, man. But
And
yeah,
for those
dude,
unlucky-
short tonight, huh? Jeez,
That's just a regular old shirt, man. Just a regular old shirt.
I
It's
got
a-
classic blue one myself. So,
See?
Oh, yeah, that's right. What was that?
yeah.
What was that? Who was that, Justin?
Just resting here, man. We're in a chill mood tonight.
A chill mood.
We got a lot to talk about.
We do.
We got some youngins to talk about.
You got
Not our kids this time.
You got anything for this guy? Nothing.
I don't have any witty thing tonight, man. I worked like 13 hours today. I'm exhausted. I don't have anything.
Blaming it
witty.
on the day.
Yeah.
Hey, blame it on the day, the week, the month.
You know what? It might be February, but let's talk about Lejuene.
Hold on. Oh, I thought we were talking about LeMay or La July. No, we are talking about Lejuene, baby. Brandon Lejuene, Debbie Deep Dive. Man, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it. Appreciate the invite, especially during rookie season.
Yeah, this is our favorite time too, man.
Oh, yeah. This is it, right?
We
This is
love
what we
it.
play Dynasty for, right? So you got to get it right. Got to hope to get it
Yep.
right.
We
So,
sim
roll
the
the
season
dice.
so we can get to the management side of it. That's all it is.
I am so excited that you responded to me when I reached out because, you are always cranking out content, and
yeah.
there's
yeah.
a lot of stuff happening. The NFL, the Big Board podcast, and
Yeah.
got you the YouTube show and the whole database, and at Debbie Deep Dive on Twitter, X. Probably
Yeah,
everywhere.
sometimes I'm on there. Most times not.
Right.
So,
It's like, yeah, it's weird, the internet these days with social media and stuff. But I try to, man. Well, whatever, man. You responded, and you are here, man.
Yeah,
What do you?
let's talk.
Where should we start? Should we start at the beginning when the Devi, the seedlings of Devi
Yeah.
right now, or just
Yeah.
like a basic question, like who the heck is Brandon Lejuene, man?
Yeah. Let's let the man introduce himself.
yeah,
Tell
just
us what you got going on these days.
yeah, I just got into Debbie, I don't know, maybe 8-9 years ago. I was probably one of the early people on it, and just really came to the conclusion after playing Dynasty. Rookie Fever podcast was a podcast that I
Sure.
listened to a lot. And I was always interested in the rookies side of things, right? And I'd always had the dream job of being your own, owning. I'd love to be Jeffrey Lurie of my Philadelphia Eagles, right? So, when you got into Dynasty, then you wanted to do the rookie drafts, and just decided I wanted to learn how to just watch player film myself and try and, be a amateur scout, which is what I consider myself to be. I'm no professional by any means, but just love watching player film and getting ready for rookie season, and then taking a look at Debbie players in the off season. But Debbie got me interested just because, it was Dynasty leagues wanted to have the bench of players to, in the future to hit my Dynasty rosters. And it was just a different layer of Dynasty after I kind of got bored with that, just adding another layer to it. And I've really enjoyed it ever since.
My favorite kind of league is a like a Devi depleted league. Get some Devi, get some guys, you stash them on the bench, and you let that seed grow.
Yeah, exactly. And you get to watch them in college for 2 years. And my favorite kind of Debbie leagues are the shallow ones, because that way the rookie drafts are somewhat where you at least get a round and a half of players left over. So and then you can go really deep into like campus to can't leagues, and I'm in a few of them as well. But the Debbie League has always been my kind of favorite, only because I value rookie drafts. In C2C leagues, the rookie drafts are worthless. So
yeah, everybody's rostered.
Yeah, everyone's rostered, so there's no like real fun. So I kind of like it in between, because you always want to get those late blooming rookies that are always available in shallow Debbie leagues.
Nice. What is your perfect league if you had to join or create? Like
I think it would be a I'll tell you, I was so into redraft, right? Then I got so into dynasty, and then I missed redraft and had to get into another one of those, because then I wanted just to start over. But I'd like kind of all kinds. My favorite is a shallow Debbie league, though, would be a dynasty league that you could roster up to. I have a league where after our rookie draft in the dynasty league, we would have a 3-round Debbie draft. And you can only limit yourself to 10 Debbie players. So it still allows the rookie draft to have a good 2 rounds of at least hopeful players that you would be sticking on your dynasty team. But then I just love the whole, then I'm in one of my favorite leagues as well, is just a dynasty league where then I have all the rookies available. So I kind of like to have some on the bench. Then I like to kind of have some where I'm picking rookies from a full bench.
What about the settings? Kind of like a 12-team, 14-team, super flex.
Yeah, 12 teams, super flex. I'm in one QB league. I like super flex, but I don't really have any preference on that as far as points per this or how many teams. So
Is variety your spice of life? Do you like a lot of different kind of leagues, or do you tend to gravitate toward certain settings, even if you don't have a real preference?
Well, I just I'm in 3 leagues. I'm in a C2C league, I'm in a shallow Debbie league, and then I'm in a dynasty league redraft that has no rookies. So I at one time had 12, 15 leagues, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the experience. I couldn't remember what team I had on this team or this team, and just felt like you were watching on Sundays, and I was crisscrossing myself, winning here, losing there, and it's just like, what's the point? So I try and just focus on 3 teams. I'm a better owner. I can really then focus on trades, because when I had 10 teams, I mean, I'm not trading in those leagues. I don't have time. I'd like open up a roster and wouldn't even remember who the hell I had from the year before. And I was just like, what am I doing here? So I'm more just simpler kind of, when it comes to, I know guys that have 30 leagues, and I don't even understand how they do it really. So.
Yeah, Larry and I are in the sweet spot of around 10. Although, Larry, I just added 2 leagues today.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's take a little sidebar here. So in the Dynasty Hot Sauce Patreon chat, join that. Check that out. A lot of fun. Support the show for as little as $1. We just want to hang out with you, basically, and talk Dynasty. Yo, Steady Eddie in the chat, as is Jim Dickey. And speaking of Jim Dickey, Run DFF just picked up an orphan, or is there a dispersal in one of Jim Dickey's leagues?
Dickey's league is an orphan. Ruben's league is a 2-team dispersal. So
never done one of those.
They're interesting. I like taking over orphans because I like just gutting a roster and then rebuilding it. Yeah. So that's what I was doing with these 2.
Nice. And I am in this challenge. And we were in this league.
You're in the Renegades league?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is a sleeper league.
A lot of familiar names.
Hold on a second, but you're not a sleeper guy. Are you?
I'm a sleeper bro now.
Are you turning over a new
league?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I only have 1 league over there, and it felt like I didn't want it to be the redhead stepchild, and so I was like, let me just add these 2 leagues, and then it'll be fine. So
I understand that.
That way, I'm forced to go and look at them.
It's just on the app. You just click on a button on your phone.
Well, yeah, but I already do all my stuff on MFL, and now I got to go over to Sleeper. But I felt like if I didn't add on at least one more league that it was going to be forgotten. Like through the week, it would just be there's that league over there that I need to go check on. I'd forget waivers and wouldn't send trade offers. So now I have a reason to go into the league more often.
Interesting.
Plus, I'm just an idiot. I just have no sense,
So, Brandon, what's your preferred platform? Does it matter for you? You got to go.
I'm in the MFL primarily, and in one of my old leagues, I'm still in CBS Sportsline. That's an old, it's an old archaic, but I like it. I mean, I've been in there. I'm too lazy to convert over.
I know that's
So I don't really have a preference. I mean, the sleeper isn't very intuitive for me. I do most of my stuff on my computer. So I'm not a phone guy with like doing roster changes or trades on my phone. I do everything from my office here and my MacBook, my Mac on my desk here.
Yeah, I'm in 4. I'm in 10 leagues, and 4 of them are MFL and 5 are sleeper. So
that adds up to 9, Larry.
Oh, did I do that? Hold on.
My daughter can teach you those numbers.
1, 2,
4
3,
plus
4,
5.
5, 6, 7, 8. Hold on. A couple leagues have not flipped over yet. I was looking at
gotcha. They haven't rolled over. Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a couple of leagues haven't flipped over yet. So yeah. So maybe it's 6 and 4, whatever. Anyway.
Well, let's get into some Debbie stuff. Before we get too far into this, let's hear some of your process. Are you strictly a film guy? Do you do film and data together? How do you put your when you're doing players and stuff? How do you put them all together?
I'm a film guy. One of my favorite things to do is cut up all 22 films for my subscribers to my big board service. Right.
Yeah, I saw you have that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's that's what I like to do. I just think that the tail is in the tape. Not much of an analytics guy, because the reason I don't lean a lot in analytics is because every player in college, their environments are different. So everything plays a role, whether you have a good quarterback, good offensive line, good offensive scheme. I just think so much goes
with, et cetera.
So you go on production based on, okay, if you're catching the ball and you're making noise every week and you're a potential NFL draft prospect, and because you've got that production. I mean, there's some players too out there that don't have a lot of production that end up hitting, but so I just think I look for movement skills on the film, and don't really, the PFF stats and stuff are kind of interesting. I use them in my YouTube shows, but it really comes down to what I see on the film of, if guys can create space for themselves, from the running back and wide receiver position. I mean, that's really what it's about. So that's kind of what I look for.
How far back does Devi go right now? Like, what year are you drafting players? What's the earliest you can take a player right now?
Oh, well, I'm in my shallow Devi league, like one of my favorite leagues with some of my employees and friends. We can draft high school players. So I drafted Bryce. I drafted Bryce Underwood, who this year is going to be a freshman at Michigan. So he originally
on this guy.
Yeah. So but again, you can only have 10 players. So that's what makes
those that 10 for the league or 10 each team?
10 each team.
10 Devi players each team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
that's max, but most of us don't, because if you've got a huge haul for 2026, then you lose 5 of your Devi players because they're going to the NFL, and then you only have a 3-round draft. So when you can, but everyone wants that high school quarterback stud, right?
So wait a minute. So wait, when you're drafting this high school kid on your team, are you going to like the school website and picking up like some swag from the high school? Like, you grabbing a jersey from this guy?
I throw him on my bench and say, see you in 3 years, probably 4. So,
right. Yeah.
But again, in Dynasty, what's kind of fun, especially if you have an aging quarterback room, then I know I've got this kid who's going to be a 2028 draft eligible player. And so if I've got, older prospects and quarterbacks, and I know I've got youth in the pipeline, right? And that's what it's all about in Debbie, especially when it comes to that position. Quarterback, there's so few that make it to our Dynasty rosters that turn into, usable weekly starters. I mean, there's only probably 20 of them in the league that we're excited to start. I mean, it's amazing. I've always said that we can't find 32 people to play this position at a high level, but it's so difficult. The hit rate is very rare. But playing Debbie when it comes to selecting quarterbacks and hoping they hit at the NFL level is that's going to the casino, putting it on red and black, right? So you got a 50-50 shot. Even the high profile players, most of them don't pan out. So
yeah,
but it's really fun. But
that's really risky going straight out to the high school guys, because we've seen a lot of 5-star, really high end quarterbacks just flame out in college.
Oh yeah, there's been tons of them, of them. So it's a minefield out there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you do hit on one,
when that flag that you planted hits, you get to struggle.
Just imagine if 3-4 years ago, right, you drafted Jaden Daniels and he's been just sitting on your taxi squad on your MFL, taxi squad
in your kitchen sink league.
It's exciting, because you got that guy and he's already on your roster, and you're like, holy shit! Like I had Caleb Williams for the last 3 years, right? So it's pretty, like I have Jalen Milroe, who I'm like really kind of disappointed with, because after that Georgia game, I was hook, line, and sinker, went out and traded for him, gave up a wide receiver and a draft pick, future draft pick, only for his value to basically plummet right after that game, So unfortunately, I bought high and I'm gonna have to sell low. But that's the game, man. But that's the fun of it.
Jackson Arnold. I'm just throwing random names out.
Jackson Arnold, right? He went to Auburn now, so he was over at Oklahoma. We'll have to see. He just didn't really work out there. He got benched last year and had to go find a new opportunity. But I'll tell you, Red, I think what's happening in the NFL as far as going to the draft, I think they want these players to stay later. I don't, it used to be, well, if you're not an early declare, you're all of a sudden your profile was tarnished, right? I think now, especially at the quarterback position, I think they're looking for these kids to play 4 or 5 years. Like Drew Aller coming back was a smart move. Nussmeier from LSU coming back was a smart move. The kids weren't ready. They don't have enough experience. So if you can play till you're 38, I mean, a franchise could legitimately have a quarterback for 15 years, even at coming out at 25, if could be a potential stud for a long time. So,
yeah, and I think these kids are getting better information about where they're going to get drafted, more honest information.
I agree with that.
There's more information for them on the internet from agents, etc. They can now be, paid for these things. Like they're not hearing, oh, you're going to be the top 15 pick when they're really a second or third rounder.
Exactly. And I think it kind of goes both ways. Like, or the junior, all these junior running backs that came out, a lot of juniors came out with such a deep class. I'm thinking, man, if you look to the future next year, like Nick Singleton, he's probably coming back to Penn State because he wants a championship. Aller came back, Katron Allen. But there's some players that actually go as a junior in such a deep class. Are they getting, to your point, are they getting news from those NFL grades? I'd love to see one of those sheets that they get, just like a copy of one that says you're looked at in the draft circles right now as a 3rd round pick. So if a junior gets that and says, oh damn, I'm looking at the 3rd round, I could get injured next year, something could happen. Do they just go for it? So yeah,
that's true. And for all these guys that got 3rd round grades this year at running back, there's no way they can all go on day 2.
Yeah, exactly. And there's only so many landing spots out there for them to get in. I mean, opportunity is king in Dynasty, right? I mean, you can have all the talent in the world. I mean, if you have elite talent, you're going to rise to the surface. But I'll bet you there's been a lot of players that just have been in bad situations that have just never gotten the opportunity to get on the field. I mean, look at Zach Bowen, right, for the Eagles. I mean, a player like that on the defensive side of the ball just was never given the opportunity. So
I'm on DLF right now, looking at their Devy rankings, and it's in 2028, and Bryce Underwood is number 2.
Yeah, so there you go.
Just random tidbit of information there. Who's Corey Moore? And you know anything about him? Wide receiver?
Yeah, he's going. He
Oregon?
was just drafted. We just did a Debbie draft. He was a first rounder in the startup Debbie league. So he's gone to Oregon. He's the wide receiver one of the 2020 8 NFL draft class.
So, I mean, it's so enticing. Oh man, I'm gonna get in low. I'm gonna get in nice and cheap with this guy. But there's a really good chance that these guys just kind of fade off into the sunset. I mean, I know back in my the first time I was exposed to a Debbie draft, it was Jamar Chase or Rondell Moore were the two hot names, and you see how that works out.
There's your 50-50 shot right there. Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, those were the hot names. You either took one or the other in this draft, and we didn't know either way.
Yeah, and I think for me, what I'd love to do, that's why I like to watch players, because I provide ranks for people going into Debbie drafts. I mean, that I have like an overall rank, and then per position. I have like players ranked from 2026, 2027, 2028 by position. So, and that's how I keep my players organized. And when I make films, I put them on their profiles. And yeah, I mean, it's the wild, wild west, man. That's
right. I mean, do you remember your first Debbie draft? Do you remember it?
No, I don't.
Oh my God.
Well,
how old are those guys in the league right now?
Let's get into some of the current stuff. What's your favorite position group to study? Do you have one?
Yeah, I really like to watch wide receivers. I love the movement skills. I think I think they're the kind of the easiest one to scout, because the running back has a lot of more complicated things with blocking schemes and that type of thing.
Yeah, it's an individual one-on-one game out there.
Yeah, it's a one-on-one game, right? Either you're in press coverage or you got off the ball coverage, and you're just, how do you create space? How do you, so I look at wide receivers, and it's just not your footwork, but it's, the defensive manipulation, it's the head bobs, it's the trying to get the defensive back off platform to then come out of your break, and what your acceleration look like, what do you look like with the yards after catch. I always like to find players who really and then of course physicality is something I value a lot. I've always had this thing with wide receivers that if they get the draft capital and you're given the opportunity, you go to camp as a fourth rounder and you don't hit our dynasty rosters, there's either two reasons. Assuming you can catch the ball, it's either you can't create space in practice, or you're not physical enough to play the game. Whether it's on the offensive or just fighting for extra yards, and you just don't like to get hit, and you're not tough enough to play the game with the big boys. So the movement skills I think are really important. So that's what I like to scout the most.
Well, with all that being said, how do you feel about this year's class? I know a lot of people have been down on it. What are your?
I mean, I think we're probably going to get 3 or 4, probably, maybe top 25 wide receivers. But overall, somebody's going to emerge. I mean, I think the guys at the top. You're looking at Tet McMillan and Matthew Golden and Mika Buka. There's all sizes and shapes. We got the tall perimeter XZ receivers, 6'4", 200, and then we got the smaller guys, 5'10", and something with wide receivers I've noticed, really looking at the top receivers in Dynasty, there's not a lot of players in the top 50 wide receivers that are 5'11" or less.
That's true, and I think that holds fair, because you have to score touchdowns to end up scoring high.
Yeah, well, you just need the height sometimes. You need the length. You need to go up and get the ball.
Yeah.
So but it feels like the sweet spot receiver size in the NFL right now is that 6'1", 190, 195, and you've got the big enough, the height, the length, a little bit physical. Right. You're a little heavier, but you're not too big where you can't get in and out of breaks. So
yeah, there's not that many. There's not that many Mike Evans out there these days.
Yeah. Exactly. He's just a special player.
A lot of Jamar Chases, Justin Jeffersons at 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of like to focus on, because there's so many productive players, and people get excited about all these wide receivers, and you're 5'9", and you're like the Josh Downs of the worlds and the Tank Dells. He's had, unfortunately, the young man just has not been able to stay healthy, but I think that's you got to be careful of the hype.
Is Ted McMillan really worth more than taking the 2 quarterbacks in these rookie drafts coming up?
I don't think so. I mean, for me, you got Ward and Shedeur Sanders, and I'm not one to think that I don't really scout quarterbacks. I just, I just don't know what I'm looking for. And for me, quarterbacks, there's so much intangibles that go into playing that position. It's more about what you have in between the ears than your physical ability. So it's really hard to scout. But I think Ted McMillan, going back to your original question, is going to be a really good receiver, but I'm not sure he's going to be a dominant wide receiver 1 on a team. I could see him being a Drake London type where he's a wide receiver 1A or 1B, but he's not going to be the guy that carries the load for a team.
Yeah, I think that the general consensus is that he doesn't have true like top 5, top 8 upside on an annual basis, but that he can be a solid high-end wide receiver 2 kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be a regular starter in our dynasty roster, and hopefully he gets, I'd love to see him go to New England or something would be great, only because, I'm a big Drake May fan, so it'd be nice to see him have somebody,
Drake. Yeah, they need some size on that team anyway. So what are your feelings about like a Luther Burden, whose floor is a little bit lower, but whose ceiling seems to be higher?
Yeah, people are excited about him. I mean, I think he's a top 5 in the class. It's really tough watching his film because he gets so many catches around the line of scrimmage. He's a good yak guy. Didn't see a lot on film this year of him beating one-on-one coverage down, any kind of vertical explosive plays. He's just in motion a lot. He's getting, a lot of interior dig routes and mesh concept routes going across the line of scrimmage. But he's got good hands. He's got good athleticism, and he can create space for himself, finds good gaps in zone. So, it all comes down to whatever system they run in college, they're going to run that system. But it's you just try and identify the movement skills, however they're playing on the field, to see if they've got the athleticism and twitch and change of direction skills to create space to get away from defenders.
Yeah, I heard from an analytics guy today that it's a lot of generated touches for him at the line of scrimmage and let him do things, which concerns me a little bit. Because
and I think that's
speed. He's got it, but man, I like to see guys who can run crisp routes and, like you said, create space.
And that's why, like last year, I was such a Ladd McConkey fan. For a long time, and I was watching him at Georgia again playing Debbie. You get identifying these players. I was watching him when he was a sophomore. My podcast co-host and we broke down his film when he was a sophomore, and I was like, this dude is just breaking ankles out here. So it was, you can see it out there. And of course that opportunity makes a huge difference too.
So to Steady Eddie's question, there are no studs in this class. No, is Ted a stud?
I don't think he's not a Malik Neighbors. I think I'd maybe put him with Rome Odunze. I like Rome Odunze. I thought he was maybe getting a little too much hype as the, one of the top 3.
What current rookie draft pick would you trade straight up for Rome Odunze right now in a rookie draft?
Probably the back end. I mean, if I really needed a running back, I'd have a hard time maybe giving up a pick in the first round.
Wow.
Because I mean, receiver's a deep position. I mean, you can usually find it. And I'm not the biggest Williams fan. I wasn't even when he was coming out of USC last year. So I don't know. I don't know. Looking at the draft board here we did recently, a lot of running backs if they get good landing spots.
Ooh.
Good landing spots that I think I'm going to keep my pick.
That makes me feel good. Someone's been trying. Well, Shane is the worst. He's been trying to trade me Rome Odunze, and he wants not 1 but 2 picks.
He wants 2 picks. What picks does he want?
Which ones? He wants like the 106 and like a second round, like the 210 or something like that.
Shane.
I've just been shutting him down.
He's getting greedy there.
I'll tell you, I would not give up Rome Odunze. I've got like Omarion Hampton sitting there who's going to the Dallas Cowboys. Give me Hampton like all day long over Rome Odunze. So, I mean, seriously, I mean, that's who you're, if the two quarterbacks go off the board, then you got Genty, and then, someone's going to take Tet McMillan. He's probably going to be the first guy taken, whether, that's going to be, again, when we're in Dynasty and these guys who don't scout players, they're going to grab the lists. And if he's at the top of the list of everybody, he's going to go, unless there's really somebody who wants somebody in the first round and just wants to take him, and he's not going to get him in the second. But so I don't know. I mean, you could have some really good juicy landing spots for some of these top players. So I don't think I'm giving that up for Dunze.
Well, Dickie, he's listened to your love of Lad. Would you be part with the 104 for Lad or no?
I mean, he was one of my favorite players last year, and I would probably have. I would. I think. I think I'm going to take Ladd McConkey because I think he's better than any one of these receivers in this class.
Yeah, right. Looking at another wide receiver or one of the top outside of Genty. So,
so if you have McConkey and someone's offering you the 104, you're like, I'm holding. Yeah, I think I would tue. Because
if I have McConkey in that offense with a stable quarterback for the next decade, sign me up for that. I mean, they'll probably draft, even if they draft a wide receiver. He was one of my favorite players. So sometimes you get that loyalty, you just can't come off it, right?
Sure.
Yeah, no, that's how we are, man.
You get your guy, you're like, that's my guy right there,
Hell yeah. Oh, so Dickie coming through. He wants to know how the tight end class compares to 2023. How does the
Laporta, Mayer, Kincaid class? Yeah,
I think that class is going to be better. I mean, Laporta, I don't think. We just did a film breakdown of Tyler Warren, great player. My son goes to Penn State, so I watch every game. Guy was dominant this year, looks so good. And it really, I mean, I think those tight end positions, it really comes down to landing spot and opportunity and like what offensive scheme. I mean, look at Pat Freiermuth, right? He's a perfect example. I love Pat Freiermuth coming out of the class, right? Goes to a Pittsburgh team that just can't get him to go, right? I mean, he's just not a consistent producer. So I think landing spot plays such a role, but no, I'm going to lean back to that class. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think of Kincaid? He just kind of fell off the radar this year. You think it was a sophomore slump, or you think he's...
Well, Justin doesn't like Kincaid.
I have never
argument is that he's in the wrong offense because doesn't throw to his tight end.
Yeah, my entire argument was the Bills don't use the tight end. Everyone hyped up the offense because they have a quarterback, but that quarterback doesn't like it's just like if a tight end goes to Aaron Rodgers. Forget about it. All right.
Yeah.
So there are certain quarterbacks that just don't pass to the tight end.
That's what I just said about landing spot, right? I mean, that you really don't trade anything until you got landing spots for any of these players because
people love that landing spot, and I just didn't understand it because
I
mean they've been prior to him arriving. Now they've been a little bit higher. They've been middle of the pack, but prior to that, they were in the bottom 8 or 10 every year in tight end targets. And
to me, I'm faulting the organization because then why do you draft them number one if you're not going to change to the skill set of your players? All of a sudden now you've got a stud tight end. You're like, oh shit! All right, we're going to change the playbook here. We're going to get back into playing some tight end ball.
Yeah. I wonder though if he really is that stud tight end. I
know he's not,
because most of the time when players are that good, they end up drawing attention from the offense. Whether it's targets and routes and whatnot. But he seems to be taken off the field a lot for Dawson Knox, and of course he has had some injury issues, some small injuries, hasn't been anything major, but.
I look at my Eagles as an example. Like Dallas Goedert is a hell of a tight end. He is a really good tight end. They just don't utilize him in this offense. It's so frustrating. I mean,
when they do, Brown. he gets chunks.
He gets chunks, but it's never consistent. And this offense doesn't run through the tight end. So a landing spot for the tight end going to the Eagles, because Goddard, I believe, has one more year on his deal. Then I'm sure they're going to be looking to let him walk. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles take a tight end. I'm not sure how excited I'm going to get with a player going to my Eagles. I watch him all the time, and I pull my hair out like, what the fuck, man? Why aren't you throwing it to this guy? He's open all over the place.
Tight end to the Eagles. That's a nice slick how we move in the first round, late first round, grabbing one of those tight ends.
Howie would never deviate from the line of scrimmage, I think, in the first round.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the draft, how many tight ends do you think are going in the first round of the NFL draft?
I mean, probably Warren and Colston.
At least two. It's just two, right? And then it's just going to be a landslide of tight ends in the second round, second and third.
Yeah, one of my favorites is the kid Elijah Arroyo from Miami.
Yeah.
He's had a knee injury problem, so he missed a little time. But I'll tell you, we broke down his all 22 film. That guy's got some vertical speed for his size. He looks like an athletic freak, and he didn't have a lot of production at Miami because of that knee injury. But this year he had like 500 something plus yards. Was pretty solid. But yeah, then you got Helm, you got the kid from Texas, Mason Taylor from LSU, Fannin Jr. I mean, could we get 3 or 4 hits out of this tight end class? I think we can. I think it's
I think we can
3 or
too.
4 hits. You just got to figure out which ones. It's the roulette wheel of tight ends.
Yeah, well, draft landing spots will tell us a lot. Just to our point of our earlier discussion.
We also have a lot of aging tight ends. Goddard is on that list, getting older. Kelsey, of course, a year or 2 left. Mark Andrews is no spring chicken. George Kittle, we're going to be aging out in the next 2-3 years.
Yeah,
tight ends. We're going to need a new crop in. So
yeah, that's a good point. Really good point.
Yeah. I'm hoping it pays off because I have a lot of picks. I have a lot of picks in a couple leagues that are very high tight end premium. And
hold on, we have a lad hater here, Vic Z.
Hey, he brings up a good point. I mean, if the guy's got to stay healthy, but if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a PPR monster. But listen, I don't disagree with Vic though. There is a concern about that is a legit concern with him.
I get the argument for somebody like Tank Dell, but is Lad really that small? The way
he's probably a little. He's probably 180.
He's not. Yeah, he's not a big guy, dude. He is a slot guy, like a prototypical slot kind of guy. I'm a Georgia fan. We did see him off the field a lot. They were, missing large stretches of games, 3-4 games at a time.
Yeah, that's a good, legitimate point.
Yeah. Vic coming in off the top rope, defending Andrews.
Not everybody plays till 35, 36 years old. Not every tight end can do that.
I know.
At least not effectively.
It's like everyone ever since Brady, everybody's like, oh yeah, he's only 43. What are you talking about?
There's always outliers at positions. No one's going to do what. But you've had Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez and Travis Kelce and Jason Witten play. But we're talking about a handful of guys that have played to their mid-30s. Most guys, when they hit 32, 33, that's toast, man. Their legs, their knees fall apart. They don't move the same way. Yeah. It's just it's a whole different world. Athleticism in your 20s and athleticism in your 30s is different, even for professional athletes.
I have a trade I made mid-season. It involved Andrews right when the week before he started going berserk. So the first 3 weeks of the season, he just was just nothing out of him. I traded Andrews and Travion Henderson for
Trey McBride.
Trey McBride.
That's who it was because we mentioned it before.
It was Trey McBride, right? How do you feel about that trade now? I loved it, but I mean, I was like, oh, this is awesome. I have Trey McBride, even though Andrews decided to go berserk the rest of the season. But I thought I locked up a nice young tight end, but now Travion Henderson's getting all of this. He's got a head of steam right now. Do you think that trade? Do you think he's gonna live up to the hype that he's garnered up until this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think Travion Henderson. I mean, he's my RB2 of the class right now. I mean, I think if he gets in a good landing spot and a good system, I think he has the ability to be a what I like to call just a consistent dynasty starter, right? A guy that you feel confident putting in your roster is like a lock, and you don't take him out unless he has a bye.
What's a fit for him that you would really like? He's got the pass catching chops and whatnot.
I'd love to see him go to San Diego.
Oh, that would be beautiful.
Somewhere, with the Chargers. I have him. I'm looking at my last mock I did. I gave him a landing spot of the Cowboys. So in the second round.
I think anybody who gets to the Cowboys is going to obviously be.
And I think there's a decent amount of running back landing spots out there. I think for 3 or 4 guys to make an impact.
So many teams took their foot off the gas at the running back position.
Exactly right. Yeah, now it's like 3 years ago. It's turned full circle. Now
they're just waiting. They saw this class and they're just like, oh man, we're cleaning up now. So, oof. I don't know, Travion. I mean, so talking about your rankings, how does your top 5 shake out?
For what?
Just in a like a rookie draft, like a rookie top 5.
No, I mean, if it was a super flex league, I mean, Ashton Genty, I would probably select. I mean, hoping he gets a great spot. I mean, Travis Hunter, if he would commit to be a wide receiver, would probably be one. I'd be hard pressed in a PPR not to take Cameron Ward and Sanders, or at least one of them. Hoping one of them hits, and probably would be a Trevion Henderson situation after that.
I like it,
and might actually go for another running back if Marion Hampton got a great spot, or Judkins that got one of those Dallas Cowboy full workload opportunities. I would probably fade wide receiver, because I think there's a lot more. I mean, there's a lot of depth at running back too, but I don't think it's as deep as everybody thinks. I think everyone's just excited because there's a shit ton of running backs headed to the draft this year. But
we've been subjected to just one or two.
Last year's class was dreadful. I mean, Trey Benson, and I mean,
the best prospect was the guy coming off a late season ACL. So,
oh God, my heart broke when I saw him pivot. I was watching that game. I don't know if it was against the Eagles. I think it was against the Eagles. I was watching that game where he just cut and fell to the ground again, and it was the same knee. And I'm just like, poor kid.
Even the Dobbins and Akers class was that it was such a turnoff for those guys. You invested all. That's when kind of everything took a nosedive with the running backs, almost.
Yeah, I mean, you got all these running backs that everyone's excited about, right? Scattaboo and RJ Harvey and Devin Neal, Dylan Sampson, but not all these guys are going to be able to hit and be contributors. I mean,
we did a mock a couple weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I can't remember now. Maybe it was last week. And I said in the middle of the first, looking at the player list, it's like, man, this is going to get ugly in the end of the second round. And I feel like it's still going to be that way because there's only so many running back spots.
Yeah,
but
it's always that
years where you're like, I could talk myself into this wide receiver in the late second kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's so ugly.
Wide receiver, you have such a better shot of them getting on the field, right? You need 3 of them on the field at one time,
right?
Typically in the NFL today versus one running back, right? So when the cream of the crop is gone, I mean, a lot of these backs are going to find themselves in backup situations where there's already a starter, and you're like, okay, well, that kind of blows. I mean, we're not going to see him much, unless there's an injury or something like that, and then we'll get other guys that we'll be excited about for the opportunity, because there is like a void.
Speaking of, I don't know what we were just speaking of. I had a perfect segue here, and I got distracted.
Did you?
But something that had something to do with the listener league. Was there a listener league segue somewhere in that, Justin?
I don't think so. We'll get to that in a minute.
No, I was thinking about.
So let's talk about. I do have a question. It came up.
Yes. No, it was from the listener league. It was a listener league question. That's what I'm talking about.
Because I was going to say, since we were talking about the strength of this class being running back, and you're a big Debbie guy, let's mention, because sometimes people will try to play in their roster construction over what's going on the next, so they don't reach for players this year that they may be able to get better quality in the next couple of years. What are the strengths of the next couple classes, 26 and 27? Obviously we have running back and tight end this year.
I think we just did a podcast episode on this, and the quarterback class, I think we might have some better depth. Nick, so I mean, there's like 4 or 5 legitimate guys that are supposed to increase production. They're right. They're high profile players. They're supposed to take that next step. So some exciting potential players too. Lenore Sellers from South Carolina. Drew Aller went back. Nussmeier from LSU. Kid Sam Levitt down in Arizona State has looked promising. The kid from Tennessee. So I would say that the quarterback class is looking better. The running back class is not. I mean, it is wide open right now. Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, people seem to be excited about. I think Singleton could legitimately be the headliner right now. Justice Haynes went to from Bama over to Michigan, who should get a full workload. But right now there is no Genty for the 2026 rookie running back class.
Yeah.
Wide receiver could be worse. There is legitimately there's no Ted McMillan. Right. We're not going to be going into the fall, I don't think, with a Ted McMillan as a headliner like we did with 2025.
So you're not a big Evan Stewart guy?
No, I don't think so. Evan Stewart is not going to be, unless he blows up for 1,000 yards or something like that. But one of the kids that I really like is this Jordan Tyson kid from Arizona State. But you got Carnell Tate from Ohio State. So you've got all sorts of players out there, but there is right now just no headliner out there at all. And as far as tight end, I don't even want to comment on it. There's just
this is the year to get your tight end.
This is the year to get your tight end. This is the year to get your running back. I think next year, if you miss out on these quarterbacks, because there's probably only 2 that are really going to hit. I know people are excited about Jackson Dart, but who knows? Next year there should be 3 or 4, I think. It should be hopefully a decent quarterback class. Guys will emerge as we go through the season, and we'll emerge. But right now, it's looking quite weak.
Yeah. I keep hearing more about the 2027 wide receivers, specifically like a Jeremiah Smith, obviously, and how he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I'm not arguing that he isn't, because that dude's incredible.
Yeah, he's going to definitely be the headliner. But that was a good class. You got T.J. Moore from Clemson, JoJo Trader to Miami. Cam Coleman went to Auburn and flashed. So you've got these kids that have produced as a freshman, which is step number 1, right?
Sure.
The odds are that if you have at least 300 yards of production as a freshman and you're getting on the field, meaning that you must have enough skill set to compete with the juniors and seniors on the team, where at least you're contributing. So we want to definitely see that instead of getting snuffed out. But yeah, the wide receiver class for 2027 projected to be pretty good. Yeah.
Still pretty good ways out here.
You got to play the ebbs and flows of these classes, but we did have a question from our listener league. That's what my segue was.
Which, by the way,
I didn't know what the hell I was talking. I didn't know what I was talking about, and I was like, "There's a segue that I forgot about that came from here, and there's that, but blah 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 blah."
If you're listening and you're looking for a spot, we've got a few spots, some orphans that we need to fill. We're gonna have a dispersal. 14 team, 3 copies. Right. So there's 42 teams in this league, lots of trade partners. So if you're out there and you're looking for a crazy league with some big twists,
it's a great league.
Yeah.
So I posted in the league chat, because there is a league chat that's got, what is there, 14 times 3. How many is that?
42, Larry.
42. There you go.
Math is not as strong.
I said Brandon was coming on the show today, and we got Brandon is great. Thoughts on Trevor Etienne?
Trevor Etienne. He was one of the guys we talked about before, surprised that he went to the NFL draft as a junior.
Should have returned.
You have to question, okay, did he get good grades from the NFL? I think he is a good runner, low center of gravity runner, tough, good pad level kind of guy. He's got some good lateral agility, like what you see. Good out of the backfield, can catch the ball. He's just a little undersized. He's going to be one of the typical backs, I think, in this class that is going to have to find themselves in the right team with the right opportunity to be able to showcase his skills. So
he had a pretty good Senior Bowl, right?
Yeah. I don't care about the Senior Bowl, but
I'll say, as a Georgia fan, he was constantly dinged up. Even when he was playing, he was dinged up, leaving the field for periods of time, not able to stay on. So that the size concerns me, the way he plays, and the fact that he doesn't play like a big dude. Even it's a little concerning to me. The fact that he's caught 32 passes in that Georgia offense, though, that's impressive, because Georgia does not go to the backs.
That's right. So he's you can put him in a bucket with like 2/3 of the running backs in this class. Has shown flashes. He's got the adequate skill. He's going to be a late day 3 guy.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to, reach for him in round 4 or 3 or anything like that. Now he does have the pedigree. His brother is in the league, so I'm sure he's rubbing shoulders with a lot of NFL people, and he's maybe talked to some teams and stuff already.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think again, if his landing spot is got a runway to opportunity and getting on the field, well, yeah, then we want to definitely, draft him probably in the late 3rd, 4th rounds of your rookie drafts.
Vic Z. Oh, sorry, Justin. You were saying?
Well, I was going to say, are there any other running backs that are kind of later, like some day 3 guys that you're interested in? That the NFL may not be super high on, but that you like a lot. That if they got
there's one guy, Damian Martinez from Miami.
He was mentioned last week, I believe. Yeah.
He's a guy that I really like. I think for 225-pound back, he's got some really good lateral agility. And the running back, just like I said about wide receiver, they've got to be able to create space, right? You got to make guys miss. You got to be able to redirect without losing acceleration. If your gap assignment is collapsing in front of your eyes, but you see a hole, to the left, to the right, whatever, can your feet move fast enough and your brain process that to shift gears and redirect and reaccelerate? I think for a guy his size, he does that pretty good. I think he's maybe too patient at the line of scrimmage sometimes, but where he used to play, at Oregon State, he played under center. So when he came to Miami, he played in the shotgun. And the beginning of the season, I think he struggled with that transfer. He just wasn't used to, having to play, I think, a little bit more of an inside zone with that concept versus maybe a gap concept where he, was going to the hole. But boy, by the end of the season, I think he was just killing it. And he's big and physical. I think he's a little underrated.
Great. I like it.
All right. Let's go back to this guy then. Vic coming in.
Hampton and Denver, Dallas.
So, I was dissecting this question just because it's worded weird. And so if Hampton goes to Denver, Dallas, or the Chargers,
if he gets one of the premium landing spots,
right? Are you drafting him or Cam Ward at the 103? And he's assuming Genty and Tet are 1 and 2.
And then
so are you drafting Cam Ward over Hampton if he gets a great landing spot?
Well,
or who you're drafting, in other words?
Well, I think the way I would answer that question is they always say draft the talent and not for need, right? But if I'm sitting at that spot and I have no quarterbacks, I would probably lean taking Cam Ward and say, I'm going to roll the dice. Man, I love the guy in Dallas. Oh, fuck, I know I'm going to regret this, but I have no quarterbacks. And you can't win in Dynasty in a Superflex league without quarterbacks.
Nope. You're right.
So, with that in mind, now, if I had a nice deep stash of 2 starters in that, I would, and I knew if somebody was going to make me a trade offer, I'd probably put that trade on the block to see if somebody wanted to come up and get Cam Ward, but I would have no problem taking him if I had QBs on my roster. I'd have no problem taking Hampton with one of those spots.
Yeah, man, it's the running back year. I love it, man. I'm a running backs guy, so I love the running backs. Yeah. I love that they're coming back.
Yeah, me too.
They're coming
I agree.
back. Because in the old days, the running backs were that's all you cared about. Me at least.
PPR is taking us away from that. Now the positional scarcity is changing that, is swinging it back the other way.
Yeah,
that's why it's so deep that we're all looking for tight ends and running backs these days.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right. So what else we got?
Before we get out of here, any Debbie guys that we really need to be looking for this year? Any of those 2027, 2028 guys that we should be looking at?
We just recorded a podcast. In fact, I should pull up my show notes here. We just recorded this right before I got on today, and nice. I'll tell you my 4. We did our Debbie buys show. Okay.
Nice.
So I'll tell you. So my 4 buys were Austin Simmons. He is a quarterback for Ole Miss. He is going to start in place of Jackson Dart. He was the QB2 last year, 6'4", 215-pound guy. He's a lefty.
See a pocket passer, traditional pocket passer, or
traditional pocket passer. He had limited play last year, but he did some mop-up duty and he looked pretty solid. So I think given that size, I know we haven't had the hit rate with Ole Miss quarterbacks, but I don't know. It's a deeper play. One of my favorite running backs last year. I was all over this kid. I have him in all my my 2C leagues. Is Jaden Ball. He's a running back from Florida. Led Florida in rushing last year with 673 yards and 7 TDs as a true freshman. 6'1", 227-pound running back. Love that kid. You talk about lateral agility. I saw him in the spring game and made a film of it and put it on my YouTube channel. I was so impressed with his ability to, laterally move along the line of scrimmage, and he was big and tough, just my kind of guy. JoJo Trader from Miami, wide receiver. He was a freshman last year. He's going to be a sophomore playing down there with Carson Beck now. He's 6'1", 180 pounds. We talked about like that perfect NFL size and frame. I'm sure he'll be 190 by the time he gets to the NFL draft.
Yeah.
But if you look at the Miami room last year, Xavier Restrepo is off to the draft. Jacoby George off to the draft. Isaiah Horton transferred to Georgia. Elijah Arroyo, tight end, he's headed to the draft. And Sam Brown Jr. is headed to the draft. So the top 5 receivers last year are basically off. So the production vacancy is incredible. And this kid is now the de facto wide receiver 1. And I just did a Debbie draft and I drafted him in the 6th round in a startup Debbie draft, which was insane. I thought I got really good value there. And my last guy was Luke Reynolds, tight end from Penn State. Can't go against tight ends from Penn State. They are the tight end factory as far as I'm concerned over Iowa. I don't care what anyone says.
How about Mylan Graham?
Yeah, Ohio State wide receiver. We'll have to see if he gets an opportunity this year. I mean, that would be another good.
I have
him. Yeah, Jeremiah Smith just unfortunately is going to be the target hog there. They got a rookie. They got a sophomore starting. I don't know if he's a sophomore or a junior. Julian Sayin is going to be their quarterback, it looks like, this year. So, so he's going to be a newbie. But Mylan Graham, my podcast co-host, loves him. So
is Ryan Williams the real deal?
Yeah, but he's one of these undersized guys, right? So
Darius Taylor.
Yeah, Darius Taylor, man, the dude caught 53 passes out of the backfield this year.
Top of the class.
Vic, pretty. I don't know if at the top of the class,
Vic, you're crazy.
Not a whole lot of competition next year.
Well, you know what? To his point, we talked about the running back class, right? I mean, it's not. You got a guy like Darius Taylor being mentioned in possibly the top 5. That kind of tells you what kind of running back class. No disrespect to that young man, but it's he's not like NFL material at this moment, in my opinion.
Micah Hudson.
Well, he was at Texas Tech. He just transferred somewhere. I don't know where. I forget.
I know that the transfer portal is obviously much more prevalent. Transfers happen more often, but does it concern you at all when a player switches teams, especially a high-profile guy?
No, in fact, I love teams that go to from G5 schools to the SEC. Right. So like a receiver next year that will be in the draft, Eric Singleton Jr. Okay. He transferred into the SEC, right? He's going to Auburn, I believe, from Georgia Tech. You had the kid Zachariah Branch, right? The kid from USC.
Yes. I have him in the league.
Okay, so he transferred to Georgia, right? So he wants to go play in the SEC from going from the Pac-12, or is the USC in the Pac-12?
It's so weird.
I don't know the new conferences.
2 teams in the Pac-12 now. It's like
I haven't really followed all that. So yeah, I mean, but I can understand, man. Money talks, right? These kids are getting cash, and they should be. God damn it! I mean, I think it should be a little bit more regulated, maybe. It seems like it's the wild, wild west out there with dark money and all that shit. But regardless.
Is it more common with fantasy friendly guys than in college? Because I've noticed that half the guys I'm in 10 leagues, and I think 2, maybe 3 of them have a Debbie component to them. And I feel like every time I check in on a guy, he's playing for another team or he's headed to another team or something like that. Is this a very common occurrence?
Only in
within
the last 2
fantasy?
years.
Okay.
Only in the last 2 years. I mean, it's only going to get worse because they opened up this NIL deal stuff and they changed all of the. I mean, way back when you transferred to another team, I believe you had to sit out an entire year to get eligibility. Now, shit, you can just. And I hate it at the end of the year because these bowl games aren't even over yet, and these kids are already jumping off teams, and it's just it's wild right now. But I don't think it's. I think it's one of the reasons Nick Saban got out of college. I don't think he wanted to deal with all the bullshit with all that.
Or he couldn't get away with his bullshit. Possibly.
Yeah, true.
Right?
There's a good chance that that's the case.
I have some guys on a taxi squad right now, and can you tell me if they should even be anywhere right now?
Sure.
Because I don't even know if these guys even exist anymore. JT Daniels. Does he ring a bell for you?
Just cut him.
Ah! Yes. JT.
Cut him.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, that was a quarterback, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
This is okay. Ready? Corey Kiner.
Corey Kiner, I believe, played for Cincinnati this year,
back.
and running back. Did he declare to the draft?
I have no idea.
I don't think so. I think he's a day 3 UDFA.
If you have no idea what's going on, I should probably cut. Okay, ready? Brandon Thomas, running back.
Brandon Thomas, running back?
Does he make any sense?
Never
Does
heard
it
of
make any
him.
sense to you? Dang it.
A Memphis guy? I don't know.
Brandon Lejeune has no idea who the hell Brandon Thomas is.
This Brandon, no.
He would resonate with you because you share a name. If you've heard of him. Dang it.
He played 5 years at Memphis. He has 1,400 total yards in 5 years. No, you can cut that dude. He's not going to play.
Yeah.
He's going to have to use that degree he earned.
He cost me $1. He cost me $1. All right. Kevin Concepcion. There we go. It's a more relevant name.
NC State guy. He went, where did he go? He transferred to somewhere.
No, he went somewhere with, he's playing with, I think he's playing with Mylan Graham or Micah Hudson. He's playing with one of these guys. Mylan Graham probably.
He went to A&M, so he's playing.
A&M, yeah. So he went to a crowded, so it's a little crowded there.
Yes.
So I like his game. That's one you want to keep.
Every now and then I'll check in on my Devy guys, and I just do a full checkup as to where everybody is. And
well, you're 1 out of 4, so you can get rid of the other 3.
Yeah.
If they're in their 5th or 6th year and they have never done anything, you can.
I got one more that I couldn't fit on my taxi. Avery Johnson.
Quarterback. Yeah, plays for Kansas State, I believe. I don't think he's going to turn out to be a dynasty player. You're gonna
motherfucker. Cost me $1 also.
Look, at least you don't have a lot invested in these guys, Larry.
Yeah. No. These were I had running out of cash.
Sounds like somebody needs to become an NFL Draft Big Board subscriber. So
hey, you know what? Do you know what? I've been poking around while we've been hanging out. I have been poking around the site. There's a lot of information on here. Very big, nice fancy picture of you with a giant fish in your arms. And...
Yeah, dude, I caught that in the Delaware River. I think it was 42 pounds of big striper. So
what is it? What is it called?
What is what called? The fish?
Yeah.
It's a striped bass.
Striped bass. You got those in Mississippi there, Justin?
Yeah, we mostly have in some reservoirs we have some hybrids.
Yeah.
But
these come out of the ocean and swim all the way up through Philly, spawning.
Yeah, we have some hybrids around here. But are you a big fisherman, Brandon?
Yeah, that's what I'd love to do. Yeah.
Oh, Philly, huh? Yeah. All right, man. What else? Anything else? Do you have any other Debbie stuff? Any Debbie questions?
I think that if anybody has Debbie questions, just to reach out. I mean,
I know. I love just throwing random guys at you, and you're just. Oh, we had someone on a couple weeks ago. They're big Aronde Gadsden fan.
No, I'm not a big fan.
Huge fan. This guy was all about.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I don't know. So, but he's going to come out next year. Who knows? I don't think did he declare for this draft?
No. Oh, I shouldn't say that so definitively, but I don't believe so.
A little
I
undersized.
thought he did. I thought he was in this draft. I guess not. Maybe I'm wrong. Do you think that talking about a guy that's already in the league, Ben Sinnott, tight end, in a great
Interesting.
setup? He's great in a great spot, right? Backing up not Trey McBride, Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz, yeah. I mean, I think he's learning from one of the best. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little surprised they didn't sprinkle him in a little bit. He was pretty much non-existent all year.
He made a big he made a big catch in I think a playoff game to extend some big whatever they. But,
I figured they'd try and get him involved a little as a
right.
rookie. But I mean, of course, Zach Ertz, no better mentor to have than that guy.
Yeah. Oh, look, Vic Z back chiming in. Barry and Brown, Justin's secret lover.
Interesting enough, Barry and Brown. I just did a 10-round startup Debbie mock. He wasn't drafted.
I was going to say, did he get drafted?
He didn't get drafted.
Oh, man.
He's too small.
Another one that's fallen off.
Yes.
Yeah, he's small. I mean, he's fast as shit. A good special teamer, but put him in a contested catch situation and trying to get physical, trying to get off press coverage and stuff. I think he struggles.
Interesting, man. Who are you getting in every draft that you want? Like in a Debbie draft, who do you make sure you don't leave this draft without? Is there a guy
in a startup Debbie draft?
Sure.
By the way, while you're thinking, Gadsden did declare.
Yeah. And you haven't really heard much about him, so I'm not thinking he's gonna.
He might be like an athletic guy in the combine. Do you care about the combine?
No, I don't. I mean, I think 40 times I think we're overrated. I mean, Bucky Irving will break that theory next. I mean,
well, the 40 times. Why is the 40 time even a thing? Because the guys
they should make them run in pads. They should make them run in pads with all their gear on, and so. No, I mean, I think it shows a little bit.
All I really care about is the 10-yard split.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see burst and acceleration.
Yep.
So, but to answer your question, I don't have any Debbie guys that I have to have. I have a myriad of players kind of across the spectrum. I don't know, there's not like one that I don't have any shares of Jeremiah Smith, and I really wish I did.
Yeah, right.
So
what was your biggest miss when you were like, geez, this guy, I hated this guy.
I thought Trey Sermon was going to be really good.
So did I. Damn it. I had so many shares of him because nobody else wanted him.
Yeah, I thought he was so good at that Ohio State that last year. I thought he just looked like an NFL good running back, but he just maybe can't pick up the playbook or something. I don't know. So
the system made him look good, apparently.
That's that can happen, I guess.
But all right. Who's your tight end one? Is it Loveland or Warren?
I have Warren, but I'll tell you, if that Arroyo kid, I think he could be the best one out of the bunch.
And again, Laporta was not the top tight end that came out that in rankings. Out of that,
Kincaid was the earliest drafted guy that year, as far as both in the NFL and in fantasy. So
there's a lot of room in that world for any guy to pop.
That's right.
Tight ends, man.
Well, especially, we see this in tight end a lot. Like 2-3 years down the road, you look at it and go, man, that third rounder really exploded. And that guy who was drafted first.
Why didn't I see that? God damn it.
Yeah. Can't believe it.
Yep. All right.
Man. All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Why don't you tell folks where they can find you? How they can see more of your work, etc.
This draft big board is awesome, man. I'm scrolling up and down.
Well, my podcast or the YouTube channel.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm on your draft big board.
On my little web page or whatever.
Your Debbie dashboard. Big NFL big draft big board.
Yeah, website. Yeah. So I spend most of my time on YouTube. I love my YouTube channel, man. I just posted actually my 1000th video on there. So
wow.
So I've been doing it for many, many years. I love making videos for that, breaking down film and putting out just rookie content. And then as soon as the rookie draft's over, I'll be doing all sorts of Debbie content, getting everyone ready for the 2026 rookie class. And then I have this NFL Draft Big Board subscription service. It's $30 a year. And I have like the 2026 class already broken down by position, 2027, 2028, the incoming freshmen as well. So well, that's a lot of fun. I've got a Slack chat. I have over 300 members that, are into that. And we do the mock drafts. We do rookie mocks. We do Devi mocks. We just started a new Devi mock this week. So it's a good community, and just all of us in there just watching players. I post these all 22 films, and we all just watch the films and discuss them.
Oh, what do you got going on for the NFL draft coming up very, very soon in 2 months?
Oh, I like just being by myself at home, eating a cheeseburger, and just watching all my Devi guys on the bench, praying, got my fingers crossed that I get that landing spot. We are just land.
All right.
That's a good thing about Devi is the fact that when you got the guys on your landing spot, it can be a very happy or painful moment, when they do get drafted.
Do you think how many QBs you think go in the first round of this draft?
Probably
draft?
just the two.
No, yeah. You think Dart has no shot of sneaking in there?
I don't think so.
Wow, nice, love it.
I think you're the first one that said Dart doesn't get in there. And I'm not a Jackson Dart believer, so that's perfect.
I mean, it's Kenny Pickett, I think, all over again. So
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, I think the Steelers, they were the only one to draft a quarterback that year, and they reached.
So embarrassing.
It's a round 2, round 3 developmental guy, and they were so desperate they thought they could maybe fix him or something. I don't know.
Wow.
But listen, man, I appreciate you guys having me on. It is like almost past my bedtime. I am the old man of the group here, but I really appreciate you having me on.
That's what you think, buddy.
Thanks for having.
Hey, baby, Brandon Lejeune.
Thank you.
Man, thanks a lot, man. Cheers.
Right.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening, baby. Thanks for listening to the Dynasty Hot Sauce. I don't know what's going on.
Podcast. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That was great. I figure we can still fucking chat it up for 5 minutes here.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to get his Darnell Washington.
He's been a lineman. He's going to be just a lineman. The dude is bigger than most linemen.
Wasn't that like always the plan for him anyway? Right?
No.
They drafted fucking what's his face before him.
No, the problem was that he played with Brock Bowers at Georgia, and so he never got the huge opportunity. And then he goes to Pittsburgh, where they already have their receiving tight end. So
yeah,
I mean, he's just buried. He's been buried his whole career.
Yeah.
And for their scheme, he works great because it's just another big dude on the field. They don't need to pass it when he's on the field. They just want to keep slamming Najee Harris into the line for 2.5 yards.
Yep. I don't know. Man, we should just really do a show where we talk about the teams that need a running back and then figure out what running back you want to give them.
I'll be honest, I'm more excited to actually talk about where these guys landed in April than to try and prognosticate who I like talking about, who we want to go there, but I don't know if we can predict what any of these teams are going to do. Yeah. Dickie, you're right. His highlight reel is unreal. It's because he's 6'7" or 6'8" or whatever he is, 280 pounds, and runs like he's, the dude is just ridiculous athletically. I mean, he's like Zion Williamson out there, like too big to be doing the stuff that he does.
The Zion Williamson name drop?
Zion Williamson. Yeah, he's just too big to be doing what he does out there, but he still pulls it off.
Does he pull it off though? Is he still any good? Zion Williamson.
Yes, he's very good.
Yeah, I haven't followed it in a
his
while.
Team sucks. Well, I mean, he's still doing his thing. He's actually played a good bit this year, which is surprising considering that he do just hurt all the time. Yeah, let's see. This year he's averaging 24.5 points, 7.5 boards for almost 5 assists. Yeah, in 28 minutes a game. Yeah, he's still ridiculous. I feel
like we're just getting started with this guy. Could have just kept going, just pulling out random Debbie guy. He should have thrown some Debbie names his way, man. He was just giving you his hot take.
It was
throwing out takes.
Yeah,
he was giving out free takes.
I'm actually probably gonna check out his NFL draft big board thing.
I was on it. There's a whole bunch
of
stuff
cruise
on
around
there.
on it. Yeah.
Nice. Vic Z. That's a new face.
I like it. And he was really interactive. Vic, thanks for popping in and chatting.
Yeah, man.
He was really interactive in the chat there.
Get in our listener league.
Yeah. And you know what, Vic? I'm a little afraid of Mark Andrews because he's already declining. He's got like 1,100 yards the last 2 seasons combined. So I'm not sure that we get to 32, 33 and him still being a tight end one. It scares me. Yeah. I don't know if he's still listening or not, but
Vic does qualify for the listener league now that he has
officially listened. Yeah. I gotta jump on some people up.
I know, man. I know, man. You're done. Stick a fork in you.
Dude, I'm tired. I gotta get up in the morning and I gotta leave at 6 a.m. and drive an hour and a half and then work all day.
All right, man. Well, we wrapped it up so we could just cut it out right now.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna go have me a bowl of cereal and then hit the hay.
Who's next week?
What's that?
Who's next week? Is it the worst?
Yeah, it's no, because the worst is the 10th, isn't he?
I don't know.
Hold on, I'll pull it up because Garrett Price is next week.
Is he? Oh, yeah. Nice. Okay. All right, man. Well, I'll be in touch. We're
gonna have to. I think.
I can't wait to make some deals in the Renegades League. You know.
Yeah, I'm gonna get.
You know, this is the league that I have the 102, 103, 105, 106, 110, the 207, the 208, 209, 2010, 302.
Well, you know, this is a league where I like to break down.
102 also.
Yeah. Hey, and by the way, next week with Garrett, we need to tone down some of the expletives.
Oh, rubbish. Hey, if he knows what shows he's coming on, come on. He's got to know what shows.
I'm not sure he has any clue about our show at all.
Well, Rich was on the show. Hey, check out our Rich Dotson episode. It was awesome. We had a great show with Rich.
We might want to tone it down a little bit and respect our guest.
What's the matter? Respect what? Respect our guest.
We'll go to his Twitter follow. Go to his Twitter handle and oh boy,
I respect all of our guests.
Go to his Twitter handle and you'll see what I'm saying.
If his Twitter handle is I don't like the F word at don't say the F word around me, then I think it's gonna be we're gonna be okay.
He's probably gonna cut out of there.
Oh no!
It makes certain people uncomfortable to be around.
Really?
I'm just saying.
The F word.
I think in general, all the words. What? You might not love this.
What do you mean all the words? You're not asking me to drop. You don't want me to drop it, do you? You want me to say it?
No, I'm saying don't say the words next week.
Say what? You telling me that I shouldn't say cunt?
Jeez.
Hey, come on. Is cunt a bad word in Mississippi?
Cunt's a bad word everywhere, Larry.
Not in Europe.
Talking about?
In Europe, you could just call someone a cunt and it's cool.
Yeah, that's like Ireland. Like you can call people, in the United States, everywhere in the United States, cunt is a bad word.
In the last 30 seconds, we have normalized the word cunt just by tossing it around a few times.
I don't think that's exactly what we've done.
Should I put that on the loose agenda?
I bet you're not going to walk around the grocery store saying, I bet you're not going to walk around the grocery store saying, what up, cunt? So, no, we have not normalized that.
I say the word cunt a lot. If someone's being a fucking cunt, they're who they're being.
But you do not say that to their face.
I know I don't.
Because
I'll be watching a show. We're watching this. I know you're exhausted, so I'll let you go after this.
You're good. Go ahead.
We're watching this show Younger on Netflix, where this girl's lying about her age. She's 40, trying to act like she's 26. Anyway, the show it's just like a chick type of show, and this girl sucks. No, I hate it. This girl's the star of the show sucks, and I call her a cunt like every other episode. I'm like, this chick is such a fucking cunt. She is. She's just a fucking cunt. Ugh. Anyway. I wanted to ask him about Caleb Johnson, but we can talk about that with Garrett Price. I think that's his. Wait, 25 rookie running back. Oh, never mind. He's just listing up some stats. I'm excited. Oh man, let's pick out some specific stuff we can talk about next week with Garrett Price.
Let's do it.
AKA at Dynasty Price.
Yep.
All right. I'll see you, man.
I've listened to a good bit with Garrett on that Nerds, but where was he at? He was somewhere else before. I can't remember where he used to be. But
I have no idea. All right. Who is his banner? Who's 33 on the Broncos? All fantasy football guys are from fucking Jersey or Ohio, the two shittiest NFL teams. The Jets and the Browns. It's the most fans.
They could be if they're from like West Jersey.
We love football.
They could be Philly fans.
We love football so much that we had to resort to fantasy football, which became
right just to be
as a result of our shitty teams.
Right.
Yeah. All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
Later.